Hey everybody, it's Bill Stebbins from BillStebbins.com and Simulcast.com, and I am out here in my garage today to show you how to build a projection screen. This is a pretty simple process, but I get a lot of questions on one of my videos about home theater on how I built the screen. So I'm going to go through the process today and show you exactly what it takes to build your own projection screen using some laminate, some aluminum tubing, and some brackets, and some 1x3s with some felt that you can find at any fabric store. So hold tight and let's get this thing started. Okay, so here's the basic components for the screen that we're going to build today. As you can see, there's some lengths of aluminum tubing. That's 1-inch square tubing. You can find that at any Home Depot or Lowe's. There is 2 different lengths that I'm using today, and you'll need to use a calculator to figure out what size screen you're going to go with. And once you know the diagonal measurements that you want, then you can use one of the calculators to determine the length and the width of the pieces you're going to need. In my case, I'm going to go with a 120-inch screen, and there's going to be a little bit of overlap with the border, which is the 1x3 wood strips there. So for the purposes of what I'm building, I am using a 106 by 60 measurement. So the longer pieces are 106 inches and the upright pieces are going to be 60 inches. Actually, these are 58. That will give me an overall dimension of 60. Also here I have some basic brackets and stuff that you can pick up at Home Depot. There's some L brackets, there's some T brackets, and then there's some screws to hold it all together. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and lay it out, and then I'll show you exactly what it should look like when it's ready to screw together. Okay, so here's the first one. This is a special corner bracket. It bolts not only to the face but also on the inside. And what I wanted to show before I put this together is it's really important to square this thing up. And if you don't have one of these, this one looks hideously horrible, but it's a framing square. And you want to make sure you have one of these. It's basically just a metal piece that's a right angle, but you can use it to line up your pieces before you screw them together. That way, as you work your way around, you'll make sure that it's all square. So I'm going to work my way around with these brackets, and let's see. I'll show you one that's not. So you're just going to need to find something like that when you go to Home Depot. That'll be your outside. Alright, so I'm about halfway through putting the brackets on. I just wanted to say hey, because I hate those car shows where it takes them like 2 minutes to change every spark plug in the engine, and you know there's a whole crew that jumps in and does it. That's not me. I'm actually in here doing it. As you can see here, corner brackets are in. Just working all my way around now. I've got the center pieces in. Focus a little bit. Alright, so get ready to put the T brackets in. I'm going to start in the center and then line up the other 2 outer ones, and then we'll be good to go with the frame. So it looks like I'm all done with the frame. In case you're wondering what this looks like, let me see if I can zoom all the way out. This is a 120-inch screen, and I don't even think I can bring it back far enough to show you. So it's basically 9 foot wide. And here's me kind of standing in the middle of it, and yeah, it's a pretty big screen. So what I'm going to do next is put the brackets on for the border that will go around the screen. Basically there will be a 1x3 wood border that goes around to frame it. It'll be covered in black felt. But I'm going to go ahead and stick those brackets on now, that way I don't have to worry about it later on. And I'm going to try and take it downstairs and hopefully it'll fit. I did some measuring, but I guess we'll find out for sure in a few minutes. Okay, so we are here in my theater room now. You can probably kind of peek behind me and see that there's the frame and it's all assembled. So let me come around here and I'm going to zoom in. And I'm going to show you exactly how large that thing is. Compared to what I have up there right now, that is a 100-inch screen, 100-inch diagonal, and what you see on the frame is 120. So as you can see, it's a good bit larger. Right above the screen is my Connect, and so I'm going to have to do some rearranging with my speakers. I'm going to cover over right there, so that won't be there anymore. All that, there's a closet right behind that wall, and all the equipment's going to be turned around. Right there is a infrared repeater, so it'll be receiving the signal there and then sending it back to all those components. So I'm going to grab my wife here in a little bit and get her to come out in the garage and help me with putting the laminate on. I guess I could show you the sheet of laminate too. Alright, so I went and got the roll of laminate from the other room. I'm going to walk out here so you can see. I'm about 6'3", and the roll of laminate is about 5 foot tall. So you can see how big this screen's going to be. Alright, so you can see that's going to be a pretty sizable screen. This is a 5x12 sheet of laminate. Won't be using all of that 12-foot length. It really will end up being 106 inches in my application. So we're gonna go ahead and take this outside in the garage, lay out the frame, put some double-sided tape on it, lay out the laminate on there, get it all set down, and then I've got a laminate trimming bit for my router, and I'm gonna run around the edges and clean all that up. Then I'll work on making the border, which is going to be 1x3 covered with some black fleece. And then I will kind of check in as I get through that part. Okay, back out here in the garage now, and you can see the red areas are where I've got double-sided tape on there. And I'm getting ready to lay the laminate. One thing I wanted to point out is I'm using some angle brackets I've got laid down, just so that I can use them as a guide. So I've got one on each corner here, and then we'll start the laminate there, lay it out that way, and I've got a router bit that's for trimming laminate, and that's what we're going to do. So hopefully in a few minutes I can get my wife over here to help me, and we'll lay this laminate out. Alright, so there is the screen. There is no border on it yet. It'll have a black border on it just like what's around the old screen. But now with the laminate on there, you can get a pretty good idea on how big it's going to be. The next step is going to be making the border, and that's going to involve some 1x3s covered in some black fleece. That's pretty simple. If you've ever done any upholstery work, it's just like that. So I'm going to work on those later and put those on one by one, I think. And then once I get that done, we'll work on the rope lighting going around it. Then I will get it hung up and figure out where I need to move my speakers and how to close off the equipment area on the right side of the screen so we don't see that anymore. Wait, what's this? Well, this is my screen. What I figured out after I got the laminate put on with the double face tape is that that wasn't going to work. Unfortunately, when you go bigger than what I have currently, which is a 100-inch screen, roughly a 4x8 screen, the laminate's just too flimsy. So what I had to do was actually take it back apart, took the laminate off, which was a 2 or 3 hour process to do it right and not rip it. And I've got some Masonite, which is the brown stuff you see there, and you can see where I sanded the screw heads. They're countersunk, so that when I'm going to glue the laminate to this actually, and that should give me a good solid surface, and it's going to hold a little better without any waves. You probably see a couple there, and once the laminate's laid on there with some contact adhesive, those will go away. So anyway, sometimes we think we're doing things the right way, and midstream we find out that we're not. This process has been going on for about a week, just 20 minutes here or there. So I spent a few hours today redoing that. Pretty soon we're going to put the laminate on, and then I've got the border over there, which will need to be covered with some felt, and it'll be ready to frame that screen, and I can hang it up, and almost there. Oh, and one last thing. I went ahead and reinforced across the middle. You can see right across there. I went ahead and reinforced that so that there's no sag all the way across. So anyway, if you're keeping tabs at home, you probably realize that I spent a little more money today, but I'd rather do it right and not have to redo it later. Hopefully you feel the same way. Alright, so I'm down in my basement now. As you can see, the screen is temporarily hung on the wall. There's no border on it. What I need to do is cover some 1x3. So I've started work on that. This is one of the bottom pieces. Basically, this is just some black fleece. I'm going along and stapling all the way down the length of this. We're going to make a rectangle, kind of a floating rectangle border. That'll catch any light spill. And that'll also allow us to kind of clean up the edge of the screen, and it will hide the backlighting that's going to go behind there. We've got some rope lighting to go around the screen, and so I'm just kind of going along and stapling all this together. Doesn't have to be real tidy because it's going to be hidden. It's going to look like that when I'm done. So I'm going to keep working on this. I've got 3 yards of material to work with, which is plenty. And then once I get that done, I'm going to put the frame together and pull the screen back down and attach it. And we'll be getting closer and closer. Okay, so here I am. Got the screen pretty much done. Let me move over a little bit. Borders on it. The whole frame is screwed in. It's real secure. It's heavy. Rope lighting, pretty simple process. We're just going to use the included hangers and sit this in a channel right behind here. That way when I light it up, it'll glow around the screen, give it a really nice cool effect. So I've got 30 feet of this. I'm going to go ahead and get that taken care of, and we'll be ready to hang this baby. Alright, so pretty much everything's done with the screen other than hanging it up. The lighting is on there. You may not be able to tell what it's going to look like, but let me go ahead and plug the lights in, you'll see. Okay, so what you're seeing is the rope lighting is secured all the way around the border. Obviously once that's up against the wall, you're not going to see any of the actual light. You're just going to see the light spilling around, and it's going to look like it has a glow to it. So as soon as my helper gets down here, we're going to hang this screen on the wall, and this part of my project will be done. As you can see, it's big. It's really big. It's 5 foot tall and 100 and something inches wide. So anyway, that is a screen that you can build yourself. It takes a little work, and it takes a lot of planning and measuring and cutting, but it's nothing you can't do in your own garage, which is what I did. So next steps for me are going to be to move the speakers on either side. I could leave them there, but they're a little too close. I'm going to move them down to the sides. I'm going to cover over where my equipment is, because I've got an infrared repeater system, which is down here. And so all my equipment's going to go in the closet behind here. What you're looking at is the finished product. I wanted to kind of update this video before I put it out because I did have some time to go ahead and finish everything. You can now see the 120-inch screen is up, the backlighting is in place, all of the speakers have been moved, the component rack that was over right here is actually still there. It's just been turned around. It's behind the screen now instead of forward facing, so it's all going through right there. There's a little infrared eye in that wall panel. Right here, the center channel's been moved down. You can see my Connect is right above that, kind of blending in with the screen. There's a Wii sensor bar, and my wife let me get some new furniture for down here. So all in all, really good project. Hopefully you like the way that it looks now. I am fairly impressed myself. And as you've probably seen in some of my other videos, I can still control all the lighting. And here is the accent scene. That's what it looks like when I hit the button on my Harmony remote and I tell it that I want to switch to an accent scene. Right. I can manually control the lights. I'm going to shoot a separate video for this, but so there you go. The reason I'm not on camera is because this is 5 months later and it's summer here now rather than winter. I didn't feel like putting on the same clothes I had on in the last video. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. I'll do my best to answer them. And I hope that if you attempt this project, it works out as well for you as it did for me. See you later.